The House will come to order. Message from the Senate.
Winkler moves that Rule 1.15, paragraph C, relating to disposition of Senate files be suspended for the purpose of taking the message from the Senate relating to House File Number 729.
Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, members, this motion will allow us to take up the message from the Senate for immediate consideration. I ask for a yes vote.
Any discussion on the Winkler motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
Message from the Senate. Madam Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments to concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File Number 729, an act relating to public safety. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Mariani moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House File Number 729 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Mariani, to your motion.
Madam Speaker, members, that is my motion. I'd like to speak to it at the appropriate time, but I would so move.
Members, there are two votes in front of us. One is on a motion to concur, and then the bill itself will be before us. On the motion to concur, seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 729, as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by the Senate. Discussion to the bill. Representative Mariani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I do want to share a few quick thoughts here as we vote on this. This bill meets a deficiency for state-level police operations, particularly of our State Patrol and our DNR officers. It's a deficiency that was caused by their careful, responsible preparation for the possibility that the historic trial of a licensed police officer who murdered a Black citizen of our state could produce a righteous, massive outrage, as it did last year, that could lead to public disruption that others with ill intent could take advantage of to cause large-scale harm. Members, I've made it clear numerous times that we must engage in a number of issues related to the mobilization of our law enforcement around public assemblies, particularly those behaviors that need to protect our First Amendment rights to assemble publicly. But this is a funding bill to make sure that the resources that are ongoing for our DNR conservation officers and our state troopers to perform their statutory duties around keeping Minnesota public, whether it's at our parks or state highways, keeping it safe. Members, as you all know, the state is constitutionally required to carry a balanced budget. With the deficiency of the state's budget due to the preparation that I mentioned, the state's budget will not be balanced by the end of the fiscal year without this action. I won't share all the information about the costs that were incurred, other than to quickly highlight that there were large-scale deployments here at our state capitol, other state facilities, as well as in Brooklyn Center. And that involved, dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds actually, officers where we were, the State Patrol was needing to cover regular compensation, overtime, housing for these Minnesotans, meals, hydration, nutrition, as well as transportation costs for the individuals, officers that came from Ohio and Nebraska who were deployed to our capital here and other state locations in order to make Minnesotans available for being publicly present where there was an expectation that there would be large-scale assemblies. Members, I believe that Minnesotans accept that we have to have change in policing. I also believe that Minnesotans want policing to continue and to be present and to be effective and to be focused on human rights. As someone who has worked on police accountability reform for several years, as you well know, in 2019, we passed the very law to establish a real modern accountability system based on an early warning tool of harmful police actions that spoke to the reality of individuals in a system that allows individuals like Sergeant Chauvin to slide through our licensure system with numerous concerns that rose to numerous complaints that were not addressed enough and early enough to avoid him killing George Floyd. As the author of that bill that was rejected by our Republican Senate colleagues, we offered it again in 2020 after George was killed, and eventually that was agreed to and signed into law. Members, it's beneath us as a legislature, frankly, as just decent citizens, to wait for tragedy to happen in order for us to act. So to be in this place today is a bit troubling to me. The place where I want to be, where I want us to be, is where we honor simultaneously the two things that Minnesotans value. Again, changing our policing based on humanity and accountability, and supporting resources for a humane law enforcement system. But the need is real today to meet our public obligations, and so therefore this deficiency bill. But I want to repeat that the need is real for police reforms. This body passed last week. The need is real for those reforms to be agreed upon by our Senate counterparts in order to fully meet the righteous expectations of all Minnesotans. We need to be as urgent over the crisis that many communities face with harmful police systemic behavior. So members, today I hope that we do this necessary work on this deficiency bill. And we promise to ourselves that we need to do the necessary work for the police reform provisions in the omnibus bill that we forwarded last week.
The member from Isanti, Representative Johnson.
Members, as we move forward here to suspend the rules, this is an important bill that we do need to handle today. I do ask all the members on my side of the aisle to vote to suspend the rules. Thank you.
The member from Stearns, Representative Demuth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a request from the Waltz-Flanagan administration to provide $7.8 million for law enforcement and public safety response costs. I want to thank the members of the Minnesota National Guard, the State Patrol, and the other law enforcement agencies here in Minnesota and from out of state for their work over the past several weeks to keep our communities safe. It's been disappointing some of the disrespect that our neighbors have faced, and I'm glad that today we are reaffirming our commitment to the men and women of law enforcement, that we can come together and make sure that they have the resources needed to respond now and in the future. And with that, members, I would recommend a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members voting remotely, please vote. Will the clerk please call the names of the members who have not yet voted?
Baker.
Baker votes aye.
Baker, aye. Berg. Berg.
Berg, no.
Berg, no. Doubt.
Doubt votes aye.
Doubt, aye. Davids.
Davids votes aye.
Davids, aye. Drazkowski.
Drazkowski, aye.
Drazkowski, aye. Greenman. Greenman, no. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Haley. Haley. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson, R.
Hanson, R, aye.
Hanson, R, aye. Hanson, J.
Hanson, J, no.
Hanson, J, no. Hausman.
Hausman, no.
Hausman, no. Heinrich. Heinrich. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, exclamation point, yes.
Lucero, aye. McDonald. McDonald. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moran.
You are. Moran, aye. Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Munson.
Aye. Munson. Munson, aye. Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Nash.
Aye. Nash. Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. New Brindley.
New Brindley, aye.
New Brindley, aye. O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson B.
Wilson, B, aye.
Olson B, aye. Sandell.
Sandell,
Sandell.
Sandell, aye. Scott.
Sandell, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sozinski.
Brzezinski, aye. Brzezinski, aye.
Sozinski, aye. Thompson. Thompson. Zhang Jie.
John J, no.
Zhang Jie, no.
Have all members voted who wish to vote?
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye.
Any other members wishing to vote? Hearing none, the clerk will close the roll. There being 107 ayes and 25 nays, the bill is passed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce that the Senate accedes to the request of the House for the appointment of a conference committee on the amendments adopted by the Senate to the following House File number 1684, an act relating to transportation. The Senate has appointed as such committee Newman, Jasinski, Howe, Osmic, and Bingham. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments to concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File Number 1952, an act relating to state government. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Nelson M. moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendments to House File Number 1952, that the Speaker appoint a conference committee of 5 members of the House, and that the House requests that a like committee be appointed by the Senate to confer on the disagreeing votes of the 2 houses.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. That's my motion. Senate put their language in, which was vastly different from ours, and so we need to go to conference and work it out.
All those in favor of the Nelson motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Reports from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Winkler from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Thursday, April 29th, 2021, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills. Senate file numbers 1470, 193, 151, and 1020, and House file number 1947.
Announcements by the Speaker.
Announcement by the Speaker. The Speaker announces the appointment of the following members of the House to a conference committee on House File Number 1952. Nelson M., Zhang T., Mason, Greenman, and Nash.
Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. Without objection, we'll take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. Announcements. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 4:30 p.m. Thursday, April 29th, 2021.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 4:30 p.m. Thursday, April 29th, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until 4:30 p.m. Thursday, April 29th, 2021.